This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the PMC SMACA webinar series, Nuts and Bolts Live. Our goal is to bring you educational content you can listen to whenever and wherever you choose. I'm your host today, Diane Bohacek, Associate Director here at the Contractors Association. And here with me today, I have Jim Hoppe, Vice President of BPA, and BPA is the administrator to numerous health fund plans around the area, including Steamfitters Local 601, Plumbers Local 75, and Sheet Metal Local 18. So I asked Jim to come today to talk to us a little bit about EAPs and how our employers can help ensure that members are using those benefits to the fullest extent and to their benefit. Jim, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Diane. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, Jim, I asked you to be here today, like I said, to talk about EAPs or Employee Assistance Programs. I know they offer a lot of different services, and we're just going to touch on a handful here today, but why don't we start off with the very basic, what is an EAP?
Sure. Well, an employee assistance program is a service provider that helps you navigate and find solutions to any concerns that you may have. And, you know, as we talk about those services, those concerns could be, for example, relationship problems, or if you have marital difficulties, or if there are any kind of family conflicts. A few other ones to note would be any workplace issues or stress management. And certainly in today's pandemic environment, we're seeing depression and anxiety issues and alcohol and drug related problems. And even as we talk about, you know, issues such as financial problems that individuals might have, being unemployed and out of work and having to deal with those respective issues. An employee assistance program allows participants to gain that general assessment of any issue that you may have, and they help you navigate through the medical industry, if you will, to determine whether or not they might be able to resolve it at their level, or if need be, depending on the complexity of the issue, they assist in making sure that you get the proper medical attention that you deserve.
So they sound a little bit like a first stop for many people, depending on the issues they're having, but a great resource as a first stop to gauge maybe what to do next. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say exactly, Diane. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think what we find is a number of individuals really don't know where to start. How do we address the concerns that we have or issues that we have? And the EAP programs are an excellent avenue to start that process, because they are the ones that do the initial assessment. And then from that assessment, again, navigate to the extent of the type of you know, medical type of attention that you need. They have all the resources. They know where to send you, and so it works as a great tool to make sure that individuals, again, get that attention that they need.
Well, and you touched on this a little bit, Jim. So given the current climate, and a lot of people are dealing with a lot of different stuff, we know mental health issues are on the rise. Can we touch a little bit on how an EAP program might be able to help people who are struggling with mental health right now?
Yeah, sure. And Diane, it's really going to depend on the severity, and that's going to be determined based on that EAP assessment. What we've found is, you know, the mental health issues can really run the gamut, from just being, in today's environment and having to be quarantined and keep social distancing, that weighs on individuals from a mental health standpoint. And so an EAP may find within its own resources that they can have consultants speak with you and work with you to try to resolve that issue and work towards expanding the possibilities of working within this environment. But then there are individuals who need more attention, and it gets to the point where it's severe and they find themselves truly locked away. At that point, you would find an employee assistance program to steer you in the right direction and get you with the appropriate focus groups in order to resolve that issue. So they really do run the gamut from what someone might deem as a minor mental health issue all the way up to requiring medical attention.
Yeah, and again, it's a great first stop of, hey, I'm feeling a certain way, and somebody's there to hear you and say, sounds like this would be the next step, or sounds like, option B might serve you a little bit better at this time, and a nice neutral place to go and get some feedback from a trained professional.
Exactly. Yeah, Diane, if I could, I think it's important to note, because as you would imagine, these types of benefits weigh on individuals as it relates to the confidentiality associated with it.
Sure.
The EAPs do an outstanding job of making sure that when you reach out to them, everything is confidential. And as part of the health insurance programs that these members participate in, it's also important to note that the EAP services are actually free at cost, no cost to them. These are expenses that are borne by the respective health funds, and so a member can feel comfortable knowing that when they reach out to an EAP, they're not going to be billed for those services. That this is really something that the health funds respectively are providing.
Two great points, that this is at no cost to the members, which is really important, and also the anonymity and the fact that nobody's going to know. I think, we're starting to talk about this topic more and more, but there's definitely a stigma that a lot of people still attach to mental health issues. And while everyone seems to be working towards eliminating those stigmas, a lot of people still feel like they're there. And so that anonymity is important, and nobody's going to know, your employer's not going to know.
Exactly.
So rest assured that you're talking to a safe person.
Correct.
So hand in hand with mental health issues, unfortunately, is often drug and alcohol related issues. EAPs address those type issues, Jim?
They do, and much like the mental health issues, and you make a good point, they tend to go hand in hand, quite candidly. Again, the EAP offers the type of assistance. Again, it really runs the gamut from, if you find yourself where you've just started on the cusp of drinking due to the scenario and the environment we live in right now, and that may put you in a position where you need to only have maybe a working group to talk through and talk through your issues. It may be something as less cumbersome as meeting with a focus group or a user group. And then again, depending on the severity, if it's going to require some kind of medical attention, it is that EAP provider that can point you in the right direction and get you in touch with scheduling, quite honestly, with the appropriate medical provider to start the process in getting that issue resolved.
And Jim, the EAP benefits are for the employee, and then spouses, children,
Yeah,
everybody, right?
it's exactly, Diane. It's for the whole family. And actually, one of the have is family counseling, where we've seen where the dynamic of the home environment may call for not necessarily just mom and dad getting together, but we've seen it where the children are part of that discussion as well. So again, it's when that initial assessment is done by that EAP provider is when they are ultimately able to determine, how many people, what's the scope of the issue, and then how do we actively move along to get it resolved.
Yeah, and I think it's important for our listeners to remember that it includes the kids, and sometimes they need some help too. These have been tough times for the kids as well. Many of them were home from school and isolated from
Yep.
their peer network, and feeling very lonely, especially those teens and those preteens. It's a tough time to feel connected. And so, it's important for everyone to keep an eye out for those kids and for the adults in their lives to remember that there are these services that can help and are ready to help. So please reach out.
Yep.
Any other sort of underutilized benefits of the EAP that you think, wow, if people knew, they would really do this?
Yeah, I think when at least seen with our clients, and it's unfortunate, but it's important to note that I don't think they even understand that the EAP is out there. And I think, collectively we can all do a better job of trying to make members aware that this EAP is available, because I only mentioned a handful of services that they provide. And although we have seen an uptick in EAP utilization over the course of the last 12 months, going through the pandemic here, it's still not at the level that one would expect. And yet we hear from members when they call, and they may tell us they're, for example, going through a divorce. This is something that we obviously make them aware of, that for them. They do family counseling. They do marital counseling. And so I think to your point, it's underutilized, and we really need to do a better job of getting this information out to the membership, because they are looking for help. And I just think they're not aware that this is out there for them, free of charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads me to another question I wanted to ask, which is, I think our listeners are going to be predominantly, office personnel, HR directors, people in those sorts of positions. What can the employers do? How can we help in getting the message out to our employees that this is a service? We do have some programming coming up in the near future that's going to talk about sort of warning signs and things to look out for as we talk about mental health issues. But how can we as an industry, as employers, reach out to our employees and say, hey, just remember, you've got this benefit?
Well, first of all, excellent question, and thanks for offering, because I do think that the employers can play a key role in this process. Diane, as you know, they're on the front line. They know exactly what's happening with their employees, and so I would recommend that when they find an employee that's in a particular situation, that they refer them either to the union office. The union offices are well aware of the EAP program and have the contact information that they can provide, as well as companies like ours, the health fund offices. Obviously, if they reach out to us with that information. So both parties have that information readily at hand, and we can start the process of getting those individuals back on the right track.
Perfect. And everyone should have contact information for each of the local unions. And if you don't, you can certainly reach out to me or Google it, but you're welcome to reach out to the association office and we can connect you with the right people at the various locals to help get you the information that you need, most definitely. Jim, was there anything else you think we needed to touch on today?
No, Diane, I think we covered it. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to do this. I do think it's going to help the members as well as the employers, because it's, you know, it's good that we can connect in this type of venue to offer the best we can to our members and employees.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for stopping in today and giving us a really sort of high level overview of what an EAP is. There are so many programs and so many benefits to it that I really urge everyone to kind of look into it and see how you as an employer can inform your employees on what this is and how they can maybe use it. Thanks again for joining me today, Jim, and thanks to our listeners for being here. Hopefully we will see you guys real soon. Have a good day.